Hi guys, welcome. Scatlink here. We are off for my intro video of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, the Uber Challenge, the ultimate Uber Challenge. This is pretty much a free heart run with 16 extra rules. Damn straight. This is the ultimate. I've done it before, but it was pretty much as well. I just wanted to do it to fulfill some challenges that I saw on an app called Zelda Fan Addict, but because Kazuaki requested it a good 8 months ago, and I started, which is also one of the reasons why I did Zelda Ocarina of Time 100% walkthrough first, so you can see the differences, and because I've already covered the game, I do not have to go into detail about anything else because I already have, so it kind of saves me a little bit of a hassle, a little less bit of a hassle, because I wanted to do the game 100% anyway, but yeah, that came first. So this is the Legend of Zelda Uber Challenge. It's like one of the hardest challenges of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I mean, you saw my Let's Play. I barely had any trouble unless when it came to the mini-games, which we don't even have to do during the Uber Challenge because you're not supposed to get anything. And I'll be going into why that is in a minute. And in every episode I'll also be putting in all 16 rules and everything else in the description of every episode, just in case if I mess up, you can tell me, but hopefully that won't be the case, because I'm normally really good at following the rules, so yeah. So hopefully there won't be any problems whatsoever, and I'll be able to do this amazingly. But there's going to be a few problems, because of obviously the rules. So, enough about talking about the rules, let's actually explain the rules. So, there's the normal rule, of course. You're not allowed to grab any heart pieces or heart containers, because this is pretty much an extension over the free heart challenge. So you're not allowed to pick up any heart container or heart piece. You have to do the whole game with free heart containers. So this is a mandatory rule. This doesn't count towards the original, the 16 rules I was talking about. So, the optional 16 rules start now. Optional rule number 1. You cannot upgrade your carrying abilities of any of your items. This includes Deku Nuts, Deku Sticks, bombs, not bomb shoes, Deku Seeds for the slingshot, arrows for your bow and arrow, that kind of stuff. You're not allowed to upgrade them in any possible way. You have to be stuck with the basic. So that's like the basic 10 Deku Sticks, 20 Deku Nuts, 20 bombs, 30 Deku Seeds, and 30 arrows. That's your maximum. You have to work with what you have. I mean, the game is beatable with those anyway, so that's not that big of an issue. And it's normally a big hassle to try and get all the upgrades anyway, because of minigames, like the Bomb Tube Bowling Alley, so we can avoid all that as well. So this is going to be very streamlined, because of the rules. But anyway, going a bit of a tangent here already. Rule number 2, you're not allowed to pick up any of the bottles except for the one with Ruto's letter, because that's required for progression. Because one of the bottles you get from Anju, one of the bottles you get from getting the 3 cuckoos for Talon, and then one of the bottles you have to kill 10 big Poes in order to get the last one, and obviously the one that you're forced to grab in order to progress so you can get the Jabu Jabu is the Ruto's letter bottle, which is in Lake Hylian. So we'll still have to get the silver scale, because otherwise we won't be able to get it. So there's no shortcuts here. Still got to do some of the game the basic way. So we've still got one minigame to play anyway, which is the diving game, but that's not big of a hassle. Anyway, rule number 3. You cannot upgrade your magic meter to make it twice as large. You can get the magic meter, and you have to get the first magic meter, because, well, obviously to get into the Shadow Temple you need Din's Fire, so how else are you going to beat the game? You need magic for that. And, well, you have to go get the magic upgrade, which is the first upgrade of the game, so that means you're going to have to go up Death Mountain with 3 hearts. Not exactly the funnest thing, but you could use your Hylian shield, right? Wrong! We'll get to that later. Rule number 4. You cannot upgrade your heart meter to endure twice as much damage. This pretty much means that near the end of the game, you're not allowed to double your defense. You're not allowed to get the white outline shells around your hearts. Which means if you take 1 hit from Ganondorf, that's it, you're dead. He does 3 hearts damage. If you had the shell, it'll be 1.5, but because we're not allowed that, 1 hit from the final boss will actually kill you. Makes Ganondorf from a pitiful fight that is still quite fun to a hard as nails boss that is difficult to pinpoint damage, because you can't mess up in any possible way. And if you think you could use the Biggoron Sword for the extra reach and damage in that battle, no, because rule number 5 is that you're not allowed to get the Biggoron Sword. Yes, so that means I won't be able to do double damage to Dark Link or Ganondorf or pretty much anybody in the game. You're not allowed the extra reach that would provide you with the easier badminton portion of the battles with Phantom Ganon and Ganondorf himself. So you can't use the extra reach for that either. So that's kind of a hassle. So then you might be thinking, oh, I can just use the Giant's Knife for the final battle. I'll do with what I can. No, because you need 200 rupees, I believe, to get the Giant's Knife, and you can't because you can only carry up to 99 rupees, right? And then you might be thinking you could upgrade your wallet. No! Rule number 6, never kill any Gold-Skulltulas. Or, there is a variation to this rule, you can kill Gold-Skulltulas and collect the tokens, but you can't get any reward from the Cursed Family in Kakariko Village, so there's not really much point in collecting them in the first place. So, that whole side quest is pretty much void, but this also means that you can't get upgrades for your wallet, and therefore you can't buy the Giant's Knife, so that kinda sucks. And, so, yeah. And then you might be thinking, hang on a minute, I have magic, I can just use Nairu's Love instead of all this. No! Rule number 7. Never get Nairu's Love or for his win, so you're not allowed shortcuts and you're not allowed invincibility for 1 minute. The game, well, these rules pretty much just want to make the game as hard as possible. Every time you think of another way to go, which is what I'm explaining, it's going to be counteracted by another rule. Even though these rules aren't exactly in order, I'm just reading them from a list. But anyway, rule number 8. Never put anything in the bottle. This means no fairies, no potions, no Lolon milk, and no bugs. Like bugs are going to do anything, but yeah, you're not allowed to put anything in the bottle except for blue fire, Ruto's letter of course, and the fish in order to get into Jabba Jabba's belly in the first place. They're the only 3 things you're allowed to put in the bottle at any time. And even though the rules don't say it, you can still use the bottle to punch Ganondorf's lightning balls back at him, like a Falcon Punch. But that's pretty much the only use the bottle has if you haven't got anything in it, so who knows, I might do that. But that will make it even more challenging because you won't be using the sword for extra reach. But I guess it will be easier because you know when you're going to get hit, you can just press the button right beforehand, so I don't know. But then you'll be thinking, I can use my shield. No! Rule number 9, if you lose your shield at any time, you can't buy another one ever. So, whatever shield you have to get, whatever shield you have, if you lose it, you cannot buy a replacement. If you find a replacement, that's fine. You can't really, unless you know the small chests from the right bottom down, and know that they're in there, you can avoid them. But if you don't, you can pick up another shield that way. But, of course, I would like to have protection as much as possible. Take that as you will, but shields, they're indestructible in this game apart from the Deku shield with fire. And if you've only got 3 hearts, the only way to survive is to use your shield. But there is another catch and another rule which we'll get to in this. Well, actually I might as well just talk about this rule now. Rule number 10, even though it's rule number 11 in the list, you cannot get the Hylian shield while being Young Link. So that means, even though you can't buy the Hylian shield, you can find the free one in the graveyard. But you cannot get it as Child Link. However, it doesn't say I can get it as Adult Link, so once you become an adult, you can grab the shield. So, I'm just reading it as it is here. In fact, I'm just reading it as it is. I mean, if you try and search it online, all it says is don't get the Hylian shield while being Young Link. That's pretty much how it reads, so no problems there. I can get it as Adult Link, I just can't have the extra defense. So if I lose the Deku shield as a kid, I have no protection whatsoever. So it's still quite difficult. Rule number 11, you're not allowed to get Epona. There's no point getting Epona anyway, because you're not going to be doing the training side quest, you're just going to be going walking everywhere. Even though people do like riding on horseback, it's kind of fun. You're not allowed to. So really, this challenge makes you avoid Long Long Ranch completely. You don't need to get the Gold-Skulltulas, you don't need to get Epona, so you don't need to go get Epona's song. You don't need to get a bottle, so you don't have to do the minigame there. And you're not out any heart pieces, so you don't have to go to the tower. It's completely gone. You do not need to go there. So that's a plus, I guess. I don't know. But it's just going to be one area that we never ever go to. Rule number 12, get a perfect score of 0, 0, 0. You know the death counter, the 3 zeros that you see when you make or about to load a file? Yeah. That's your death count, and because you're doing a free hunt run with all these rules, you're probably going to die, but the problem is you're not allowed to die. So you might be thinking if you save and quit, that's game over, right? Yes, that's true. Now, there's a way to avoid this, and it's kind of obvious. If you save before you die, and then you die, do not save and continue, just turn off the game and return it on. It actually advises this. It says save your progress a lot. If you die, push reset and you will continue with 000 deads. Deads. I said that correctly, that's how it's read. Apparently they didn't spell death correctly. It's just dead with an S, but whatever. That's getting off topic. So yeah, I won't be I'll probably show off deaths if they're meaningful, but at the same time I might not. I don't know. I'll hopefully not die at all. I don't want to die at all. I will try to avoid it, but if maybe just to be fair, I will show off my deaths and I'll have my own death counter in place of the death counter in game, because you have to keep that 000. It is an easily avoided rule, so I don't know why they include this, because you never want the death counter to go up. That's kind of a given. So number 12 is kind of an iffy thing, so maybe we should just ignore it and just follow it at the same time. So yeah, let's just forget I never mentioned it and just turn off the game every time I die anyway. Rule number 13, never learn the Sun Song. There's not really much point, because you might be thinking, there's not much point in getting the Sun Song, because I'm not going to be using time to get the Gold-Skulltulas. Actually, this is not the case. The Sun Song allows you to paralyze re-deads, and they're kind of annoying because they can freeze you and then rape you, and if you have 3 hearts, your health is going to decline quite quickly. Unless you spam buttons like a madman. So, the Sun Song is actually pretty important, and that's why you are told to leave it alone. Because if you get it, re-deads are easy. Probably give those as well. And not only that, in some places, other than the Song of Storms, you can use the Sun Song to get a Gold Fairy, which is a full recovery of both health and magic. So, you're not allowed to use the Sun Song. Rule number 14, and this is kind of a confusing one for some people that may not know how the game works. Never get either of the ice arrows or fire arrows. Of course, you would have to go out your way to get the ice arrows, and, well, they're just a novelty item in this game, but they became more important in Majora's Mask, but that's just whatever. So ice arrows, let's just forget about them altogether because they're not important. The fire arrows, however, you actually have to use those in some areas, like in Ganon's Tower, in order to in Ganon's Castle even, to get past some of the puzzles. There are actually ways around this. So you have to avoid. So that's why the rule says you have to avoid both the ice and fire arrows. Light arrows you get during the main story anyway, so you can't avoid them, and they're used to kill Ganondorf anyway when you paralyze him with his electric balls. So light arrows you're allowed to use, but fire and ice you're not allowed to. And even though fire is used to get through, is required to get through Ganon's Castle's puzzles, there is a way around this, but it's quite complicated. So yeah, that's going to be adding to the difficulty. No fire arrows. Rule number 15, never plant the magic beans. You don't need shortcuts and you don't need to go out your way to get other items and stuff. So what's the point of planting the magic beans? If you're not going for the Gold-Skulltulas, you're not going for heart pieces, you're not even doing the training side quest, what's the point? Just ignore them. You can't even buy them all anyway, because the last one costs 100 rupees and you can only carry it for 99, considering the Gold-Skulltula rule. And another arbitrary rule that we don't really need to follow is don't do the Happy Mask shop side quest. You don't need the money for doing it. You don't need the tips that the Happy Mask that the Mask of Truth gives you. So what's the point? Rules 15 and 16 are just a bit meh. They don't really need to be acknowledged, but I guess just to be sure, for people who like to 100% complete stuff, they just say, oh, you can't have your fun. So yeah, that's pretty much that. They're not that fun anyway, but they're still good, I guess. But yeah, those are the 16 rules of the Uber challenge, and I will be following every single rule. And if you have or have not seen my 100% walkthrough, because I'm doing this, you'll see how I'm going to be doing the game a lot differently. I'm going to be a lot more tactician, and even though in the Let's Play I did take a little bit too much damage in some areas, that's because I had the health, and I was just like, whatever, let's just run through it. I could be a little bit reckless, but here we can't. And I was also doing that for the sake of the Let's Play, because, you know, you got the hearts, you're just trying to commentate, and in this one, I don't have to commentate much, because I've already done all that, so it will just be me making frustrated groans every time I get really low on health. It's kind of like what would happen on the Nuzlocke, really. because I'm probably going to spend half the time grinding. Because so, yeah, that's the Uber challenge. So I hope you enjoyed this introductory video of the rules. The rules will be in every video description as well. And, well, this is just going in more in-depth with every rule, just for your understanding pleasure, I guess, because people who are watching Let's Play are saying, oh, can you explain this rule, please? I've already done it, so I don't have to waste time in the first episode. I will be, and if you're thinking that if I have to, where am I going to start? At the beginning? Because let's be honest, the Great Deku Tree, you have to do with 3 hearts anyway, and the first mandatory rule doesn't actually kick in until after you beat Goma when the first heart container appears. You just walk into the warp, ignore the heart container. That is true. But you can still die from full damage before you even get into the Great Deku Tree, if you are able to do so. And even then, before you get into the Deku Tree, you have the Deku Bubbers on the way to the Deku Tree, and then you got the Deku Tree dungeon itself. And even though it's like, it's the first dungeon, you can never lose it, some other people will be like, yeah, you didn't show it off, you're cheating, nah! So, just for end all, be all, I'm just gonna start from the very beginning, after the intro, because we don't need to see that again. If you want to really see the intro, there's tons of videos on YouTube for it. But yeah, this is the Uber challenge, and we're going to be starting as soon as Navi pops you on the noggin. See you guys then.